Alright, so Ben wanted me to do a walk around of the car for the channel. This is my General Lee Tribute Cannonball car. It is a 2014 Dodge Challenger, not a Charger. You know, we thought for years and years that the General Lee was a 69 Charger, but after the 4K and Blu-ray releases, we discovered it was actually a 2014 Challenger the whole time. That was a joke. So the car is a RT. It's just a basic RT, 5.7 liter Hemi. Nothing really that fancy under the hood. No real mods there. The push bumper is a regular Challenger police push bumper for anybody that wants to put a push bumper on a Challenger. Charger, 300 or Magnum, they're all the same frame. I think a 300 would probably not look that great, but the other three all look good with push bars on them. So the color is header orange. This is factory paint. The header orange is different than Hemi orange. Hemi orange has a little bit more red in it. If you guys ever want to start a fight online, go into a General Lee forum and ask them what color the car was, because they will fight about it. Part of the problem with that is they changed the color of the car over the course of the series. The car, for the most part, had more red in it than this. More similar to header orange. The original color, allegedly anyway, was a Corvette color. But again, the color of the car changed over the course of the series, as did things like the spacing of the letters and the numbers, the color of the top of the flag versus the color of the lettering, the size and width of the push bar. There was a bunch of differences over the course of the show. So there's really not technically a completely correct car or color scheme, I should say. But header orange is correct for the toys. So anybody that had a Hot Wheel or Ertl, I guess it was, or any of the other cars that were made for the Dukes of Hazzard, this color is closer than anything else. And so, speaking of the toys, Mego made a General Lee that the top where the flag is opens up, and you can put the figures were basically the size of the, was it 3.25, 3.5 inch G.I. Joes, and their General Lee, the body lines did not look like a 69 Charger. They actually looked much, much closer to this, even though, of course, that toy came out, you know, years and years and years before this thing came out. What's interesting about that, too, is they have very similar rims, so that's part of the reason that I've not tried to change these wheels. Another reason is that they actually do make rims for the Challenger, or in the Challenger pattern, that look very similar to the original Dukes rims, but they're $1,000 a piece, and I don't really care that much. So on the inside, as far as countermeasures goes, speaking of, I mentioned this is a Cannonball car. It actually technically has not completed a full Cannonball yet. That is in the works for it. Currently, it has spotted and it has blocked. It has gone on some smaller runs. It has may or may not have delivered homemade alcohol beverages at one point. So inside, this is the switch for the horn. It doesn't sound that great. Yeah, it's not that cool. So my PBR shift handle, it's automatic. You know, I got it because of the color. They only made the color like 3 or 4 years, so you know, I had to take what I could get. So I have a external power bank for countermeasures. I don't really keep anything in here except for the Valentine one. Everything else is mostly just borrowed from folks, although I do have a really nice Coors cooler that might come into play in an event coming up in the near future. I also keep a little jar. My family used to make moonshine back in the day. I keep a little jar of it in here to share with friends. I got to do that with some of the members of the Fraternity of Lunatics, and that's kind of what that meeting is, kind of what shaped me getting into this whole thing. So the only real mod I have in here, work in progress, aftermarket fuel tank, or secondary fuel tank, I should say. So it is not connected yet. Part of the reasoning for that is there is an event coming up where I can't use it. So rather than have it in there and have the temptation of cheating, heavens knows none of us that are in the automotive world would ever cheat. Oh, look, it's my shadow. Hi. So Anyway, in order to keep from doing that, I'm just going to ride with it in the trunk until such time that I can get it installed and have it for when I do my actual transcontinental shenanigans. So anyway, there you go. Let me tell you this story real quick. So the way I got this car, when this body style came out, I immediately wanted to build one of these and didn't have the money. So my grandfather was also, when I was a kid, I used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard when it was on TV. And my grandfather thought it was a great idea doing this build, but it wasn't the right time. So years later, he passes away, and about a year after that, I'm looking for a new car. I had a 2017 Subaru Outback. It was literally the biggest piece of crap car I've ever had. I don't know if it was built on a Friday or if 2017 was just a bad year, but it seemed like once it hit 30,000 miles, things started to fail. I had computer problems, I had fuel system problems. It's just one thing after the other. So I was finally tired of it, wanted to get something more sporty. I had the Outback was dressed as a Ghostbusters car, as many of my cars often have been. Anyway, I was going to get something different. I wanted to do one of these, but I was a little worried about what the reception would be like, which, by the way, so far I've had 2 negative comments in the 4 years that I've had the car, and they were both at Caffeine and Octane being yelled by teenagers as I was leaving. Everybody else seems to like it. I get thumbs up and stuff. And matter of fact, I got one from an African-American gentleman in a pickup truck on the way here. Anyway, back to the story. I find a black 2014 manual RT at a car lot here in town, and I go to look at it, and sitting on the lot is this car. And again, I told you how rare that color is. So I'm just going to move around so there's not just that one static shot. So I am not a shrewd negotiator, so I always bring my stepfather with me to help talk to the vampires that try to get all your money in the car lots. And what happened was we got to the point of discussing final payment, and my stepfather says, well, what about this amount of money out the door cash right now? I didn't know what was going on. I thought that maybe they were going to pay cash and have me make payments to them instead of payments to the bank to save me on interest. I didn't know what was going on. Well, come to find out, my grandfather had it in his will that I had a certain amount of money reserved that I could either use for housing or I could use to purchase and build a Challenger General Lee, but I couldn't know about it. I had to come to it on my own accord, and I did. So my grandfather bought me my General Lee from beyond the grave, and he always wanted to do Cannonball. He always wanted to do stupid stuff like I do now, and so this car means a lot to me. I buy and sell cars all the time, but this one is going to stay with me forever, and it's my tribute to my papa and my carrying on of his memory. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, ring the bell, like, all that good stuff, and keep it between the ditches.